Coming at number 5, we've got a Dolphin Uprising. Kinda like in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, but much more violent. No musical numbers, no thanking for all the fish, no peaceful skedaddling off planet Earth. These dolphins are out for blood. It makes sense though. We've known for a while now that dolphins are incredibly smart creatures and that they've got their own social order and recreational activities. Why wouldn't they rise from the sea one day to take the land that we've squandered? In the Treehouse of Horror segment known as Night of the Dolphin, Lisa takes pity on a dolphin being held at a SeaWorld-like marine park. After setting poor Snorky free, it becomes apparent that he was king of the dolphins and didn't much enjoy being forced to do tricks for the entertainment of humans. So the dolphin rallies up his dolphin pals and starts a siege on Springfield. At first, the dolphin-inflicted casualties are ignored or blamed on other easy targets like rowdy teenagers. Where have we seen that before? Then it's a full-on assault on the town with dolphins tearing through people like heat-seeking missiles through toaster ovens. Apparently dolphins used to live on land in this scenario, but we'll ignore that bit for now. The dolphins win the fight against the humans surprisingly easily, forcing humanity back into the sea. Even though some of the folks with hearts more prone to bleeding do their best to assist the dolphins when they encounter human refuse, like say a six-pack ring over the snout, the dolphins push on relentlessly. Looking at this gag, you can pull out a few predictions. 1. SeaWorld and other parks were doomed to fail because of the cruel conditions their show animals lived in. 2. We've goofed up the ocean to a point that a lot of creatures can't live there anymore. And 3. The damage we've done and the cruelty we've enacted will come back to bite us in the butt. I'd say this Halloween special was spot on, even if it was a little far-fetched when it came to dolphin warfare. Hell, this one aired way before Blackfish was making headlines. Whoever wrote it knew it was only a matter of time before people clued into how awful aquatic theme parks were. Coming in number 4, we've got a plant life takeover. Here's another spin on the environmental disaster turned end of humanity tale. Instead of aquatic life rising up, this time it's foliage. The greens are coming to get us, and honestly, it's about time. We've been wreaking havoc on our natural environment for long enough. Let's give the plants a chance. In this episode, we have a more organic take on Invasion of the Body Snatchers, known as Invasion of the Pod-y Snatchers. Oh boy. This is another segment from a Treehouse of Horror episode. Do you sense a theme here? What channel is this again? After a weird message from an off-brand Apple CEO, the people of Earth are treated to a new piece of information. The technocrats are actually aliens with one goal: turn the people of Earth into plants. So after a new tech update, all sorts of spores are fired towards Earth and start to take over people's bodies. A lot of people's bodies take on new forms based on their personalities too. Anyone with a phone or a tablet or any other piece of tech gets hit first with some goofy social commentary on being obsessed with devices crammed in there. But this prediction seems to be the gift that keeps on giving. Every time a new type of tech comes out and every time a new app is developed, folks keep claiming that people get addicted and don't care about anything else. However, we've kind of gotten used to embodying that over the past couple decades, with more of our lives taking place in digital spaces than ever before. Folks are indeed super reliant on their phones, laptops, and tablets, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. And while it's not likely that we're all going to turn into plant creatures in the near future, we might start to see more physical changes as we become more and more reliant on technology. Working from home for extended periods of time might cause us to develop poor posture and exercise less. Less sunlight too. Folks are so used to their devices that they're always looking for their next hit, even if it doesn't really make sense to do so. These psychological changes likely lead to physical ones over time. It's not the most creative or original prediction slash social commentary, but The Simpsons isn't wrong in saying that folks getting too involved in their devices will cause long-term changes down the road. Coming in at number 3, France bombs America. Really? France? You heard it here first, folks. Looking at the classic Treehouse of Horror segment Omega Man, we get to see an apocalyptic vision of the future caused by some less than deft political maneuvering. Mayor Quimby makes a raunchy comment about frogs' legs, which makes folks worry that France might lash out. And guess what? They do. Because of an ill-advised sentence spoken by a big dumb politician, things went real sideways real fast. Homer survives while shopping for fallout shelters and emerges into a world full of corpses and mutants. After a day of gallivanting around in a mostly empty world, he discovers that his family survived the blast thanks to all of the lead paint in their house. Classic. So watch out for any really questionable political moments over the next little while, because even the most innocuous phrase could cause a nation to lose it. We've been preparing for this for years. What is modern politics if not trying to attract as many eyes as possible regardless of the consequences? Hopefully France doesn't decide that the nuclear option is the best one, but hey, if they do, I'll understand. Coming in at number 2, hoax gone wrong. We've all heard about the first time War of the Worlds was broadcast, right? It was a faux live radio broadcast so effective that it caused mass panic all over the place. This tale of alien invasion made folks so afraid they ran screaming into the streets. Interestingly enough, the BBC pulled off a similar hoax years later with Ghostwatch, but with less mass panic and more frantic calls from the headquarters. Back to the first hoax though, The Simpsons put a spin on the famous broadcast by reenacting the original panic. An alien invasion radio show went on the air and everyone lost it. However, after they discovered that it was all a joke, they were pissed. Claiming they'd never be tricked again, the citizens of old-timey Springfield vowed to ignore any and all alien invasion information from then on. Famous aliens Kang and Kodos picked up on this and decided it was time for an invasion. And then nobody believed it was actually happening. Like The Boy Who Cried Wolf on a whole other level. It just seems like human nature at this point, now doesn't it? Folks believing anything they're presented with immediately and without question, followed by a whole bunch of ignoring research, precedent, and common sense? With all the hoaxes floating around the past few years, I wouldn't be surprised if we ignored something big and important just because in the future. So be on the lookout for a major social issue, catastrophic structural collapse, or additional viral infection. Folks will be so used to ignoring what's going on around them, it'll cause some major problems and no one will do anything about it. And finally at number 1, we've got no choice. We're already here. They predicted it, and now it's gonna happen every year forever until the inevitable collapse of society. Honestly, it couldn't come any faster at this point. Western society is predicated on the ideals of freedom and choice, but those are just illusions for the common folk, right? In the Treehouse of Horror segment Citizen Kang, Homer stumbles upon the alien-fueled plot to body snatch the 2 presidential candidates, making the election kind of a moot point. Regardless of who you vote for and who they say they are, you're really getting more or less the same thing in the end. Sure, they might look different and say different things, but what really changes? Plus, there's no alternative choice. Even if you didn't want to vote for the 2 squeaky clean politicians with all their pre-written speeches and platitudes about patriotism, what else is there to do? Politics. In the end, humanity is building weapons to fire at planets they don't even know the names of. Seems awfully familiar, doesn't it? With the way things have been going, it seems as though this will be the status quo moving forward too. You can vote for whoever you want in your local elections, but boy, does it ever feel like traditional politics keep new ideas from actually taking root.
Starting off this countdown, we have the robot takeover. At this point, artificial intelligence is playing a huge role in our lives. We got smart watches, speakers, homes, and fridges. It's crazy. That's not all. Scientists have created a number of super smart robots, like the robot police dog. Currently, some police departments have been testing out using a robotic dog. The New York Police Department was seen using one just last month, and it was received with a lot of backlash. Not only that, but another company made a child robot that is learning itself by interacting with humans and observing their behaviors. It then records this and then copies it back. And on top of that, hospitals are testing the use of surgery robots to help out. Here's the thing. The Simpsons, in a number of episodes, have predicted a robot takeover. One of them being the episode titled Itchy and Scratchy Land, which was episode 4 in season 6. In this episode, large animatronic robots go haywire and cause mass destruction. They basically turn into killing machines, threatening the Simpsons' lives. Then there's the episode titled Them Robots, which is the 17th episode of season 23. In this episode, Mr. Burns replaces all of the power plant workers with robots. But this goes terribly wrong, and the robots start to turn on the community. So the Simpsons predicted that robots will take all of our jobs, but also that they will turn against us and try to wipe out the human race. Seriously, I could see this ending super badly for all of us. These robots are becoming smarter than us all. Coming in at number 4, we have the zombie outbreak. The Simpsons have featured a zombie outbreak in a number of their Treehouse of Horror episodes. In one episode titled Don't Have a Cow, Mankind, the citizens of Springfield get infected from eating burgers. Hold on though, guess what the burgers are infected with? A virus. And then this turns them into these zombie-like creatures. Great. So could it be that this virus will mutate and start to turn everyone into a zombie-like state? Or maybe another virus will rear its ugly little head and threaten the human race. Could 2022 be the year that this happens? Let's hope not. I don't even know what to think anymore. Let's just hope that this doesn't come true. Moving on to number 3, we have the president's wife. This next prediction is going to send chills down your spine. So in season 14, episode 21 of The Simpsons titled Bart of War, An interesting headline can be seen across the newspaper in one of the scenes. The newspaper headline reads, "President shoots his wife." What now? Now, this episode came out in 2003. The president at the time was George W. Bush, and clearly he did not shoot his wife. So the headline hasn't come true yet. Maybe it wasn't Bush that they were referring to. Could 2022 be the year that this comes true? Should Jill Biden be concerned? Should we be concerned? Even if that headline was just meant as a joke, it's a pretty dark one. Let's just hope that Joe doesn't go crazy and shoot his wife. You know what? Let's just hope that no president ever does that. In our second spot, we have World War III. Another world war would be absolutely disastrous for a number of reasons, I'm sure you can imagine. But could 2022 be the year that another world war might break out? It might just be, according to The Simpsons. In the 1995 episode titled Lisa's Wedding, we dive 15 years into the future. From there, we see what it's like in the future. Now, in this episode, we see Homer and Lisa's fiance, Hugh, drinking at Moe's bar. In this scene, Moe realizes that Hugh is from England and mocks him by saying, and I quote, "We saved you in World War II." Now, it's what Hugh responds with that has sparked the interest of many individuals. He replies saying, "Yeah, well, we saved you in World War III." Great. So it may just be that another war is about to begin. Now, what makes this all worse is that this particular Simpsons episode was filled with predictions that have actually come true, like virtual reality games, FaceTime, and Apple Watches. This episode predicted all that and more years before those things actually came out. So, let's hope that this other prediction they made doesn't come true as well. Like, should we start building our doomsday bunkers or what? And in our number one spot, we have the disastrous asteroid. Just when you thought the predictions for 2022 couldn't get any worse, we have this one. A giant asteroid might come crashing down to Earth and kill us all. In the 14th episode of season 6 titled Bart's Comet, Bart discovers a comet that is headed straight towards Earth. They believe that the comet is going to destroy life as they know it. And guess what? NASA has reported that asteroids are coming closer and closer to Earth. Just this year, NASA was, and probably still is, tracking a giant asteroid traveling at around 28,000 miles per hour that's headed towards Earth's orbit. This asteroid is around 1,500 feet wide. Its impact could be very disastrous. Plus, we keep having these near misses and close calls. Let's hope that this prediction does not come true. Now, here's some good news, okay? The Simpsons episode ends with the comet being burnt up into little pieces, causing no harm to the Earth. Amen. So maybe we're safe. For now.
Kicking off at number 5, rigged voting machines.
1 vote for McCain. Thank you.
No, I want to vote for Obama.
2 votes for McCain.
The Simpsons are no strangers to politically fueled gags, but the literal definition of stranger than fiction occurred back in 2008 during the 19th Treehouse of Horror episode that aired during the 2008 presidential candidacy race between Barack Obama and John McCain. It's a small segment, but the clip features Homer heading into a voting booth and is surprised to find a brand new touchscreen machine. But after he casts his vote for Democratic candidate Barack Obama, the machine sinisterly replies, "1 vote for McCain. Thank you." Well, when Homer replies he wants to vote for Obama, he repeatedly presses the touchscreen in frustration. When the machine responds, 2 votes for McCain, 3 votes for McCain, then finally 6 votes for President McCain. I mean, that's terrifying enough in a totalitarian political climate, but what's terrifying is that it actually happened. During the 2012 election where Obama ran for his 2nd term in office, a man filmed himself using the same kind of touchscreen trying to vote for Barack Obama, but repeatedly found the vote being cast for Republican candidate Mitt Romney. And The Simpsons predicted the same calamity 4 years before it even happened. Coming in at number 4, Siegfried and Roy. During the episode Springfield, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love Legalized Gambling, which first aired in 1993, we were first introduced to the flamboyant duo Gunter and Ernst, magical stage performers that have a headline slot at the brand new Monty Burns Casino, which features their onstage companion, a white tiger named Anastasia. At the beginning of the episode, Anastasia has a flashback whilst performing, remembering that she was taken from the wild by the pair after being shot with a tranquilizing dart, and then savagely begins mauling them. Well, the duo were a parody of the famous Siegfried and Roy, Las Vegas stage legends that pretty much did the exact same act. And things again got a little spooky when in 2003, 10 years after the episode in question aired, Roy Horn, one half of the Siegfried and Roy duo, was savagely attacked by their trained white tiger, Montecore, where he was grabbed by his neck and dragged off stage while they were performing at the Mirage, leaving Horn with extensive and life-threatening injuries. I mean, I get it, if you're in the business of frolicking on stage with one of the most ferocious feline predators on the planet, you're probably going to get hurt at some point. But there's no denying that The Simpsons called it before that even happened. Next up at number 3, the Walt Disney takeover.
Hello, old lady from Titanic? You stink!
Now, this is probably the smallest prediction in terms of screen time, but it's staggering that it would have the biggest implications, because in short, The Simpsons predicted its own takeover by Disney nearly 20 years before it actually happened. 20 years, that's insane, right? In an episode that first aired in 1998, comically titled When You Dish Upon a Star, The Simpsons made a brief segue gag joking that 20th Century Fox, the studio that produced them, had been bought out and fallen under the umbrella of Disney. Well, in December 2017, Disney announced the knockout news that it was to acquire the vast majority of 21st Century Fox in a blockbuster deal worth over $52 billion US, getting Fox's TV and film studios, its cable TV networks, and its stake in the Hulu streaming service, along with all the character rights and ownership of its creative property, including The Simpsons. The show literally foretold its own inevitable ownership change. Swinging in at number 2, the Higgs boson particle. Did you catch that? Although only incredibly brief, season 10 of The Simpsons hinted at one of their most uncanny predictions ever. Seriously, there have been books written about this, and the fact that they were pretty much spot on is staggering. Matt Groening is a genius time traveler or an alien or something, because coincidence can't be this coincidental, can it? Well, what if I told you that in 1998 Homer Simpson pretty much predicted the mass of the Higgs boson particle 14 years before CERN did with the Large Hadron Collider? Yeah. During the episode of The Wizard of Evergreen Terrace, Homer has a midlife crisis, stating that he's achieved nothing in his life when comparing it to Thomas Edison, and so he decides to become an inventor. During the episode, he scrawls on a chalkboard his prediction of the particle's mass, 14 years before it was even discovered. And British science writer and author Simon Singh noticed eerily just how close it was and decided to write a book about it called The Simpsons and Their Mathematical Secrets. Well, it turns out that the writers of The Simpsons were pretty much all mathematicians, and head writer at the time, David X. Cohen, took a stab at the theoretical particle. Yeah, he was pretty spot on, but I'm also pretty sure that he's a time traveler. And finally, at our number 1 spot, President Trump.
As you know, we've inherited quite a budget crunch from President Trump. How bad is it, Secretary Van Houten?
We're broke.
The country is broke?
Yeah, nothing to see here really, guys, other than the fact that The Simpsons predicted Trump's presidency 16 years before it actually happened. I don't really know what to say about this one other than it's insanely accurate and has gone on to spawn even more accurate predictions involving The Simpsons version of Trump and our version of Trump. I'm not even sure which one is which anymore. The gag first appeared in an 11th season episode titled Bart to the Future, which is pretty self-explanatory, but it details Bart and Lisa all grown up, and of course, Lisa is the first female president of the United States. Her task is to rebuild the economy after Donald Trump ruined it during his term as president. Let me reiterate the fact that this episode aired in the year 2000, 16 years before the 2016 presidential election. It's got me wondering what the hell was in the water over at the Simpsons headquarters. I get it. It's just coincidence, right? There's nothing more to it. They just got lucky. All of those times, back to back.